So everything we record or we have an interaction with any type of object, right? And you guys understand understanding object is very, very important, as I have told from before. And we have discussed about what is object and how to identify which one is an object in the beginning classes. So just to refresh our memory, any object is something that you could interact with, right? Anything that you could interact with. For example, these links that you click on to go any place is an object. The weapon, you could interact with this. This is the object. You could write something here, right? This is an object. So everything that you see is an object. An object is made out of different property and values, right? Every single object is identified with different properties and values. Like I said in yesterday's class, if you want to describe or identify your car, right? Let's say you have a red Lexus car, sedan. You identify that car with the property and value of the car. So, for example, if you have a car which is red Lexus, let's say red Lexus. So you're identifying the car with its color. So you would tell your friend or anyone, if they wants to know which one is your car in a parking lot, let's say, you would identify that car with its color, right? Which would be red. So in this case, the color, the main color is the property. Right? And the red is the value of that property. Right? And then again, the brand or who made it, the maker, is another identification of the car, which is called property, another property of the car, and the value of that property is Lexus. Are you following what is property and value, right? So let's record a simple, very simple test. Let's say with record and run, so I could show you what is the difference. Guys, descriptive programming is very, very, very important. Every single thing from yesterday on is going to be based on descriptive programming. So you have to be absolutely clear about descriptive programming. There is no alternative. If you want to understand QTP, you have to understand descriptive programming. So please pay attention. If you yesterday we had some technical issues. Today, hopefully, we're not going to have that. So please try to pay attention as much as you can. Okay? Thank you. All right. So let's go to Internet Explorer and let's record it very simple. Let's say we go to PeopleNtech and we want to check the mission and vision link, right? So we click on mission and then we click on vision, right? And then we close. So let's delete some unnecessary. So look, so there are three four steps, right? 4 or 5 steps. So let's forget about that. Anyway, so guys, please pay attention. Look, it goes to it opens Internet Explorer, goes to PeopleNtech, and then clicks on mission link and then vision link, right? So every single link or every single thing that we recorded or we took interaction with got recorded in a place called object repository. And in order for us to run this script that you see on the screen, this one is solely based on this. So let's say we delete something. See this page, all of this. Let's say we delete something, or or if we want to use this script in another machine, we have to transfer this whole object repository with the script. And obviously your script is not going to be that simple, right? Let's say you have like 100 line of script. Right now you have like four lines, right? Only 4 lines. But let's say your script is 100 line long, and imagine like how big your object repository will look like, right? So you have to carry around that object repository all the time, and along with your script, for the script to work, right? So don't you think that's a very, very big disadvantage? Like one of the disadvantages of using record and run is that it's not easily shareable, right? And if someone wants to add something, well, after you share this object repository, I showed you, if you want to add something or delete something or edit something, right, you have to go to object repository manager, right, and then do it from there. So that's a very big disadvantage, right? So let's say clicking on, okay, so that's one of that. And then every single link, look, link is an object, right, that we are clicking on. So for example, the mission link. So this mission link, if we go back to PeopleNtech, you'd see when we are clicking on this mission link, it recorded all the property and the value that needs to be identified before clicking on that link. Look, so object properties. Look, it recorded the property and the value of the admission link in order for QTP or UFT to recognize which link you are trying to click on. So there are many links, many other links, right? Look, this is a link, this is a link. So how would QTP or UFT will know which one you want to click on? By distinguishing the link that you want to use by its property and value with its description, right? So that's exactly what it did. Look, mission was described with the property and the value that needs to be identified, and vision was done in same way. We're clicking on vision. Do you see? Okay, but it's local. Like these identification, the identification that was used to click on mission and vision link was saved in a place, and then for you to run this script, that place has to be taken with the whole script. So don't you think that's a very big disadvantage? What if there was a way to actually identify this mission link manually instead of using the object repository, and we identify this mission link instead of identifying it from a place, right?
I mean, we cannot hear you. I mean, are you there? I mean, are you there?
Hi guys. So what if we could recognize this mission and vision link manually instead of depending on the object repository, identifying the object, identifying mission and vision link inside the object repository. We recognize it manually, and then we could click on it. So then the dependency on object repository would decrease, right? And everything else, we do it manually too. So let's do it. Let's see if we could do it that way, okay? And that's called distributed programming, okay? So we already know a little bit of distributed programming, and we have done it yesterday anyway. So look, this is part of distributed programming too. So we could just write that. So let's say we are going to do a very simple test with distributed programming. And in distributed programming, you need to do the steps. So let's say go to, so our test is something like this. Go to PeopleNtech.com. Click on mission and vision. Or verify if okay, so remember we did the steps. You have to do steps in distributed programming. It's very important because you are going to write code for each of the steps, right? And this way, it's much more easier. So we say OpenIE, the first step, very first step would be OpenIE to go to PNT, and then we say navigate to And then what? Then click on next. Let's not do vision, let's do something else because there's a problem with that. Let's do about us. Okay. So the people that followed yesterday's class, can anyone tell me what do I need to do for OpenIE? We already know that anyway. Very simple. We write system, remember, UTL. We have done that before. Dot run. And then we say I explore. I'm still gonna explain it why I'm writing like this, because I want everyone to be clear about mystery programming, and everyone needs to be clear about that. And then www.
Mr. Amin, we cannot hear you.
Alright, then we write. So these two steps are done, right? OpenIE and navigate to PeopleNtech. And now we're gonna click on mission link. So how to click on this mission link? So before we interact with the mission link, this is an object. Before we interact with this object, we have to identify this object, right? That's how it was done in object repository too, right? So we have to do it manually now, right? Instead, because we're not using record and run anymore. To do it manually, we have to identify that object. And to identify an object, there is something called object spy, which you could use from tools, or you could click on this, right? Look, if you put your mouse on, it says object spy, right? So what you need to identify about that object. So let's click and see what are the property and values that we get when you try to identify the link object, which is mission link object. So if you click on mission link, see, it tells you about so many property and values that could identify the mission link. Look, How many of them? Like 10, 15 of them, right? The class name, background color, class, all of these property and value makes the mission link, right? The mission link is made out of all of this property and value. So your car, for example, the example that we were using, the car, it's only these two property and values are only two of the properties and values of to identify your car. There are many other properties. Your license plate, for example, your like what type it is. Like it's a sports two-door car, it's a four-door car, like that. So there are many other property and values, but these are two most important ones. For example, let's say these are the two mandatory ones that you need to identify in order for you to identify the car itself. Okay, so it's exactly like that. So this this object, link object, mission link object, could be identified with all of this property and value. We could see that with object spy, with all of this property and value. But there's which are one? So of course there is no way we're gonna put all of these property and values to identify that object. You need only the mandatory ones or the ones that is needed. So how do you know which one is needed for this link object? You could find that out from tools, object identification. You click on that, and then this will pop up, and then you click on this. Is very important. This part is very, very important. When you go home, when you practice, try to familiarize yourself with all of these objects and what are the mandatory properties that you need to put in order for you to identify an object, any type of object. So we're trying to, so what are you going to do after you see this window? You're going to click on this drop down from environment, you click on this drop down, and you're going to click on web. Okay. And then you'll see on the left side there are these list of objects that could be identified in the web environment. So you're going to click on link, because we're trying to identify a link object. We already know that, right, from object spy. Remember? So if you click on object spy and we click on this iron sign, and then we have to click on the object that we're trying to identify. So we click on that object, and it tells us what type of class name means what type of object this is. This is a link object. So we already know we need to identify a link.
Oh no. Alamin, I found you offline. Here you're back again. Alamin, can you hear me? Alamin, can you hear me now? Alamin, we cannot hear you. Alamin, can you hear me now?
Yes. Hear me now? No one.
Alamin, your voice is breaking.
Can you guys hear me?
No, it's breaking. Too much of break in your voice. Alamin, I see you are offline.
If you go to PeopleNtech, right, and since we're trying to identify the mission link in this case, if you are clicking on mission, you have to match it with however it's written. HTML tag is written in all small letters. Just copy and paste in here to here, and then the A here to here. If it's A is written in capital letter, you have to match it in capital letter. So it's not case sensitive in every case, but it is case sensitive in many cases. Do you understand, guys? See, text is in small letters. The text part is in small letter. The property and the value, mission, M is in capital letter, and everything else is in small letter. So you have to follow however it's written in the application. Okay? That's why we use object spy. Just copy and paste. Okay, so if you put M in small letters and everything else in small letters, it's not gonna work. Okay, guys? So follow the object spy and do everything as it shows in there. And just copy and paste like we copied and pasted here in this one. See? And then copy and paste from there. Okay, guys? All right, let's move on to the next thing. All right, So let's change our test case. Guys, please follow. I want everyone to follow. We're gonna work with different object types. Okay, we only work with link object. Now we're gonna work with different type of objects. So if you have questions, just save it till the end, and then we'll ask questions. I mean, we'll take questions. So by the way, can anyone confirm they could hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Alright, so guys, please follow. We're gonna work with distributed programming and work with different type of objects, right? So far we only work with link object. So let's do that. So let's change our test case to something like this. Go to PeopleNtech.com. Click on or verify if mission is working to log in to the forum with given username and password and log out. So we're gonna follow steps. So what is the first step to do? Go to PeopleNtech, open IE. Guys, please pay attention. And then, what is the second step? Go to PeopleNtech. So we open IE and then write PeopleNtech, right? Open IE. Write PeopleNtech. And then navigate to and then what? Using oh no, sorry, not using and then verify if mission link is working, right? So we click on mission link, click on mission link. So we click on mission link. I want everyone to follow this procedure by writing it down in the beginning when we're in the learning stage. Write down, even when you are, it makes it much more easier to work with any script. Okay, so click on mission link, do this step by step. So now in mission link, from mission link, can you log in to PeopleNtech forum? Because right after clicking on mission link, it says to log into the forum. So how can you log into the forum from the mission link? No, you have to go back to the home page. So you have to click on home. So there is another step. See, even though it doesn't say it in the test case, we have to add that step. So click on home to go back to home to enter username and password, right? Alright, so click on link, and then once we are there, we enter username and then password. And then we click on login button. Follows? Okay, so we log in and then we log out and then we say what? So we click on, after that we click on log out, right? That's it. So this is a link too. We'll find out if this is a link or not. So let's just not say this is a link. Click on log out. That's it. And then close the browser, right? That's another step. We can't forget about that. Alright, let's do all of these steps. So right now we're going to work with different objects. Alright. So let's just start a fresh new test. Alright, so now let's do it all step by step. So how can we open IE? Right, system. Okay. That run. And then we write iExplore.exe. And then we say where we want to go. Alright guys. Okay. Did I explain this? This was explained before, but again, this is just saying run the Internet Explorer. And how did I find iExplore.exe? You could find it in here. Every single application that you see in your computer, every single of them has a real name and a nickname, right? The nickname is the one that you see, and you could find out the real name. The real name of Internet Explorer is iExplore.exe. And how did I find the real name? You click on the nickname and then you right click on it and then you click on properties and then go to the target, and the end section of the target is the real name of the application. These are just terms that I'm using. These are not actual terms, so do not use those terms, okay guys? Real name, nicknames. So anyway, see, do you see that's the real name of Internet Explorer, iExplore.exe. That's where I found it. So what I'm saying, you have to call it in UFT, you have to call it with its real name. So I'm saying run the system utility, call iExplore.exe and go to PeopleNtech. That's it. Right? Oh, there is one more line I didn't discuss about. paper break that you have to add, or you need, you should add. This is not mandatory, but you should add, is this one, system utility close process by name iexplore.exe. So why I'm using that, let me show you a live example. So let's say there is one Internet Explorer and we're doing something else. Let's say we are doing something, testing something else, and it's there. And now, right now, if I run this, instead of this line, like let's say we don't have that line, right? We have only this. What's gonna happen? Look. It'll open a new browser. Well, it's not a. So let me. Well, let's do one thing. Let's type in some of the codes and then I'll show you what is the use of it. But anyway, just to give you an idea right now, I cannot show you what I'm trying to show you, but let's just write it down. And then what it does is actually it closes any open browser. So let's say there is only one open browser here, and then you are trying to open another one. Usually what we'll see after we write down the codes, you'll see that if I don't have this line, what will happen then? It will open a new Internet Explorer. UFT will open a brand new Internet Explorer, which means this one, and there is already one open there. So Internet Explorer will be, UFT will be confused which Internet Explorer to work with, and then your test will fail. So just to be on safe side, each time before you run, if you don't have this line, each time before you run your script, you have to manually close the browser. Since you're doing automation, don't you want everything to happen automatically? Yes, and that's what you should do too. So you want this browser to be closed before opening a new browser. And that's exactly what this line will do. It will close any open browser. And then it will open a brand new Internet Explorer and then go to PeopleNtech. Okay? So it will close any open browser and then it will proceed to open a brand new browser and then go to PeopleNtech. Okay? Alright guys, systematic dot close process by name means it's closing any Internet Explorer that is open. Okay, next. Alright. Alright, so I'll show you more example of it in a bit, but let's just proceed to this. Okay, so these two steps are done, right? Alright, so click on mission link because we need to verify if mission link is working, right? So how can we click on the mission link? We already have done that. Can anyone tell me? So we are here, right? We are here. With those two lines, we are here. So how can I click on the mission link? With this QTP program. You guys tell me. Alright, Mohammed Rahman, you are absolutely right. Thank you. Alright, let me unmute some people. Actually, that'll. So who wants to answer this question? So we could hear them live. I was told to do. So let's do that. So who wants to answer? Anyone that wants to answer. Imran Raju. Okay, so let's do that. Imran Rajiv. Imran. Okay. So I'm gonna unmute you. Please try to mute your volume first and then speak. Okay. Thank you. All right. So Imran, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. I could.
Okay, so first you're gonna write a browser,
All right. So browser.
parenthesis, put a parenthesis, and then put two quotation marks, and then put mid class, and then put that semicolon. The two dot,
The colon.
and then an equal sign. Browser.
So how the browser would be, like in capital letter or small letter or capital?
This one doesn't matter, so you could put it capital or
How
small.
do you know it doesn't matter?
Because when you go to object spy, it could tell you.
So if we go to object spy, and if we, let's say, machine. So, but it says B is in capital letter. So how do you know it should be in all small letters? But anyway, if this doesn't, you are actually right that for a browser it doesn't matter, but later on it matters. So
Yeah, but on the link, I remember you told me like on the link it does matter sometimes capital or not.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so
anyway.
after the dot, page.
All right, page.
And you put another parenthesis, and then you put on the quotation mid class, and then the same equal sign, and then you put page, which is first letter is big and yeah, and then dot.
All right.
Link.
Right. So what type of object? How do you know what type of object that we're trying to?
To find out, you go to object spy.
Right. Very good.
Since our test says we gotta check mission link, so click on mission link.
So how do you click on it? First,
object spy that
hand
sign with the hand sign.
All right. And then we click on mission, right?
Yes.
Right.
And then go down and it will tell you the properties, which is the class name, and also the value is the link. So you know this is a link.
Right, exactly. So we click on mission and we know by seeing class name, that stands for name, right? And we know that this is by seeing the class name, right? Very good. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
After that, you put link, parentheses. And then you put two quotation marks, and now you're gonna go back to object spy to find out if it is a HTML tag or not.
No. Right now, since we already know link has HTML
link
tag.
I'm sorry, it's HTML object. So just to make sure, go to object spy.
No, to make sure, go to tools and object identification. We already know that, but just to make sure, go to tools again, go to tools, and then object identification. How can we identify the link? We already know.
Now you gotta go to the drop down box and put web, and go to the link.
Right.
And it will tell you.
You will see that what are the properties that you need to identify in order for you to identify the link object, right?
Yes.
Very good. So we need two of them, right?
Yes.
Which is?
HTML tag and also text.
HTML, and it's gonna be
all in small letters.
Why? Why it's in a small letter?
Because on the object spy it shows you it's all in small letters. If you put it any other way, it's not UFT is not gonna recognize it.
Yes, it's not gonna work. So you have to be very careful, because when you click on object spy and with the hand sign, when you click on the mission, and then you see when you go down to find HTML tag, you will see the HTML tag is all in small letters. So if it's in small letters, you have to put it in small letters, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
for text is the same. If it says all in small letters, but the value in HTML tag stands in capital letter, which is
Yes.
A. You have to put it in capital letter. If you put it in small letter, it's not going to work. And the
Yes.
same thing goes for text. The M is in capital and everything is in small letters, so you have to put it exactly the same way. So the best way to do it is to, thank you very much. Thanks for your answer. I'm going to unmute you, okay? Thank you.
Sure.
Right, thanks. So just the best way to do it is that just first type in a notepad. Since we're in the learning stage, just write in first go to object identification. First, what do you need to do? So since we know we are trying to find out a link by saying, so to identify a link, first go to object identification and then go to web, right? And then click on link. So we already know, so from there, you type in everything. You say, oh, to find out a link, we need to find out HTML, and you need to put this space. Even this space matters, okay guys? This is space. So if you put it like this, it's not gonna work. This space matters. So every single thing has to be similar. And then you put text. So you write down like that from the object identification window, right? And then you click on the object spy. This is the easiest way to do it. Guys, I'm showing you how you should do it and practice it this way until you get a very, very good grasp of it. So, and then you click on the hand sign on object spy, and then you click on mission. And then now you look for, which one you need to look for? HTML tag, right? So go down until you see HTML tag and just select it. And then you click on A or the value. And then you select that too. And then copy it. At the beginning, just copy it. And then put it here. Put colon and then the equal sign and then paste it. The same thing. Do the same thing for text. Go down until you see text. And then you click on the mission or the value. And then you copy it. Just copy it. Guys, this is very important. You have no idea. It happens more than you think. Just misspelling or mistyping how it's not written. I mean, how it's written. Instead of typing it that way, someone just memorizes or think they could do it, and they put it like this so many times, and it doesn't work. And they say, "Oh, why it's not working?" Only this. Because of this, it didn't work. Okay, so just type it in, or just copy and paste in the beginning. Exactly, or if you don't want to copy, just however it's written here, just look at there and then type it in a notepad first. And then just copy and paste. So from here, just copy this and then copy it here. And then put a comma. Comma is very important. Outside of the quotation, and then put another quotation because we are putting two property and values, right? And then select this and again copy this. Just paste it here. Very easy, don't you think? And then put dot flip, right? Alright, should be very easy, right? That's it. So what we are doing up until now, we are clicking on the mission. Okay, and now after clicking on mission, we need to go back home, right? So we need to click on home. And how can we do that? The same way. So let's type in. First, let's find out what is home. Even though we know that's link, just to make sure, click on home with object spy. And you see this is a link right from here. And we need to go through browser and page for these two. So let's do the same. class. Again, page. And you guys shouldn't have any problem with me, class. This is just another language, just assume. Not literally another language, but just assume that instead of saying name, we are saying class. Okay? It's a Latin or French of UFT. Okay, guys? So page, right? And then link, right? We already know, but again, guys, do not hesitate to double check, triple check as many times as you could, make sure, because this is coding. If you make a single tiny bit of mistake, it will not work. So make sure as many times as you can, you check before you do anything. Okay, so anyway, link, so type link, and then what else we need? Go to object identification. See, even though it's here, but still go to tools, object identification, web, and link, and you see HTML and text. You know why I'm doing this over and over? Because I want you guys to be used to it too. So if you find any new object, instead of just assuming what it would be, you will use object identification instead of just assuming. Okay, if you get used to it. All right. Anyway, so what is the HTML tag for? Home. Since we're trying to click on home, so let's go down. Did I write HTML tag properly? Let's make sure. Yes, and it's A. So it's A. Just copy it, paste it here. Again, put a comma. And this time it's text. Again, we know that already. If you want to make sure, you can make sure. And then instead of mission, what it would be? I don't want anyone to assume, just go there. Text is home. See? So just copy. And just paste it here. And then copy and paste from here too. That's it. So now do click on that. Okay guys, everybody's clear. Alright. So we're done with that link. Alright, so what is the next step? Enter username. So now we're gonna work with, so we click on home. We're gonna work with this box. What is this box? What type of object this is? Before that, let's write down. Actually, let's find out what type of object that is. And what do we need to go through? Do we need to go through the same layer as we went through, like browser and page? Do we still need to go through browser and page for this child object too? So let's find out. How can we find that out? With object spy, right? So click on object spy and then click on this hand sign. Click on this hand sign and then click on the box. So what type of object this is? This is a web edit. Do you see? The object name is web edit. And do we need to go through browser and page? Forget about the web tables. Do not worry about the web tables, guys. So do we need to go through browser and page in order for us to reach a web edit? Yes. Do you see? Browser and page. Go through web edit. Alright guys, so what are the things that we need to identify for web edits? How can we find that out? Tools, object identification, and then click on. So Can anyone assume what do we need? Absolutely not. Is it HTML tag and text again? Let's see. Click on web. And now let's find out what is web edit. Where is web edit? Oh, right here. So click on web edit. So is it HTML tag and text like before? So if we assume something, you know, there are many times that I got emails from different classes saying that their script is not working. So they send me emails copying their script. And I saw, just because there are many times, guys, many times I got emails like that. Just because they thought the link, or let's say they're working with web edit and link. So just because they thought, you know, for example, that link has HTML tag and text, so web edit would have the same thing, but it didn't have the same properties that needed to be identified. So they made a mistake there, and their script didn't work just because of that, because they didn't use the object identification. So you need to use object identification. So do you see the necessity? All right, so it's like when you're trying to identify a car, and then you're trying to identify, so for link, if link is a car, I was showing an example of car, right? And link is a car, and web edit is a completely different object. Obviously, you could see, right? So how can you identify two different completely objects with same type of property and text? I mean, property and value. It doesn't even make sense, right? Well, it could be, there could be some things common, right? So for example, if you first we identified the car with color and brand. So let's say you were trying to identify a shirt, right? A shirt that you have. So yeah, there could be something common, right? The color, you could identify the shirt with the color. Yeah, the color is common in between the car and the shirt, but the size is doesn't match, because they're completely two different objects. So do you see my point? So every single object has different set of properties that needs to be identified. Some objects has two property and value that needs to be identified. Some has three. I don't think it's more than three. There is anything that has more than three, but they might have four, and none of them will have one, two. But yeah, so you need to make sure every single time. There are so many times that people do not use object identification, and you need to use object identification to check, to see if the object that you are trying to identify has any changed properties that you need to identify. Okay, so this one, web edit, that we're trying to identify needs three properties and values. So we will write down here. So let's write it down here. So web edit, we need to identify HTML tag. Write it exactly how it's written. If the name is written like this, it's not going to work. Name is written like this, so it will work out. And then type. So these are the three things that we need to identify. So in order for us to identify that object, because what we're trying to do is that typing something here, right? Our username, right? So we are trying to interact with this object. So to interact with that object, we need to identify that object, right? I've already told you guys. So that's exactly what we're doing. So, and we saw with object spy that to write or to interact with that object, with this object, web edit object, we need to first go through browser and page. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Now we're going to write down the browser and identify the browser. And then we need to page. right? We need to go through them. So now what are we gonna write? We wrote link by, can you take a hint and say, we need to write down the object name. So what type of object this is? Web edit. So we need to put down the name, web edit. So dot web edit. Do you see? You should write it like that. So now we're trying to identify. So what we're saying, now after going through browser and page, I'm looking for a web edit. That's what I'm telling UFT. And which one we are looking for, since there are two web edits. Do you see? So we need to identify this one first, right? You guys please follow. So web edit, and how we're gonna identify that web edit? With its three values. Three properties and its values. So the first one is HTML tag. So let's just copy the HTML tag. Before, you need to make sure put the quotation, right? So what is the HTML tag for web edit? For the web edit that we are looking for, let's see. Click on object spy, click on this, and click on the box that you're trying to do. And let's go down. So what is the HTML tag? Input. So do you see everything here is in capital letter? The value for HTML tag is in all in capital letters. So just copy this and so again just copy it, paste it exactly the same way you see. If you put input like this, I capital and like this, it will not work. Absolutely, there is no way to work. So you have to put it exactly how it is. So instead of writing it, typing it, just copy and paste. Let's say nothing is there. Just copy and paste. Since we have written it somewhere, right? From there, just copy and paste. All right. So after that, what else we need? Name. So what would be the name? Let's look for it. Click on object spy and click on the web edit that we're trying to identify again, and go down. What is the name? See, name user is in all small letters. So do you see the variation? Input was in all capital. Now the user, the name value, name property has a value called user, which is in all small letters. Do you see? So now let's look for type. We need type now. So let's go down. Type. It's all in small letter too, the value. So just copy that. And just paste it. So just paste it here. Guys, are you following? Very simple. So input, and then put a comma, and then just copy this, paste it, put a quotation, again, copy this, paste it. Guys, are you following? We have identified the web edit, and we'll see if we did in a second. So can you do it? So do you see the HTML tag has a value in all in capital? So we wrote all in capital. If we assumed and write it in the way we wanted, it would not work. And then name has a value user, and then type as text. Okay, now what do we want to do with it? Before we wanted to click on them, so we said click. But now, in this case, we want to write something on it, right? Guys, please follow what I'm saying. So we want to write something on it. So to write something on it, we're gonna say anywhere. We're gonna say dot set to write something on anywhere, we're gonna say set always. And then we're gonna put a quotation and say whatever we're gonna write. Since in this case we're gonna write 21. Does it make sense, guys? Do you understand? Can you do it? Are we on? This shouldn't be that hard. We did everything same, it's just that we identified with different set of property and value, and then we said set, and then whatever we want to write. Okay, guys? So now, this is done. So this step is done. We entered the username. And now we're going to enter the password. How can we enter the password? And what type of object? Where are we going to enter the password? Is it wave edit or is it something else? Let's look for it. How can we know? By using object spy. Password. Okay. So what type of object this is? It's a wave edit. So we're trying to identify a wave edit. So how can we identify a wave edit? Click on Tools and Object Identification, and then go to Web, and then Wave Edit. So we need these three. Which is here, HTML tag, name, and type. These are the three properties that we need in order for us to identify the wave edit. Okay. All right. So the same way, almost the same way. So again, just make sure, go to password. We need to still go through the browser and page in order for us to reach the wave edit. So the same way we're gonna type in. So let's type in browser. Let's first go through the parent objects. Again, we know this is a wave edit. And now, how can we identify the wave edit that we're looking for? Is it going to be same setup, property and value? Can anyone tell me? The properties are same, but the value will be same too. Let's find out. So the properties are same, obviously. We still need HTML tag and name and type. So let's find out for if it's the same HTML tag, name and type value too as the previous one. Let's check it out. So click on Object Spy. So for HTML tag, it's still input. So type in input, or just copy and paste. Click on input, click, copy it, and go. Just all capital. And now, after in HTML tag, we need name. Name, right? So what is the name? Password with the wrong spelling. Do you see PASSWRD? It doesn't say WORD. It's a wrong spelling, and you have to spell wrong too. If it says password like that, you have to say it like that. If you just copy and paste, if you type in password with the right spelling, it's not going to work because it says with the wrong spelling, so you have to put it without. Make sense? Do you understand now? Do you see the variation? Do you see how you have to be very, very careful? And now put type. How can we find out where is the type? Let's type we find out. Password. Type is password. So it's with right spelling. So copy it and paste it here. So do you see the difference? Very careful. Only O is missing. You have to be very, very careful. Do you see how careful you have to be now? Okay. So we found that out. So this wave edit, does it have the same value as the previous one? Yes, HTML tag is similar, but the name is different. The type is different. Right, guys? Are you following? So that's why you need to make sure. Just don't assume anything, guys, please. Just make sure, okay? Let's not be lazy. Let's just do it like that. Check as many times as you want. And then click on name. And paste it here. See? It helps, right? Typing it in a notepad and then copy pasting from there. Type. Verification. Okay, guys? Do you understand? All right. Now, again, put dot set secure. Why set secure and why not set? I'm gonna say it in 1 second. So in this case, we're gonna say set secure, and then we're gonna put our password. And for set secure, you have to get a encrypted. I'm gonna explain why it's set secure and why not in 1 second. Give me 1 second. How can we encrypt a password or any text? Again, start, all programs, HP software, unified functional testing, tools, and then password encoder. And now put this string or put the password that you're trying to encrypt. And just copy and then close it. Everyone follows? And now why it's set secure here? Because we are entering an encrypted text, simple. And why it's set here? Because this is this encrypted? No, absolutely not, right? That's why we say it's set. And since we are entering encrypted text, that's why we say set secure. Very simple. Okay, guys? Do you understand why I use set and set secure? Everybody is clear? Okay. All right. So this is done. Okay. So after that, we click on login button. Let's give me 1 second. Let me get some water. Give me 1 second. So, and after that we click on login, right? Which is a web button, which is a different type of object, right? Did we work with any login like a button anywhere else? No, this is a different type of object. So what type of object that is? How can we find that out? With object spy. Click on object spy. Or no, I want someone else to tell me. How can we find out what type of object this is? So who wants to answer? Anyone? No one? No one wants to volunteer? No, someone else. Abdullah. Okay, so let's do for Abdullah. Okay, Abdullah Mamoon. Okay, so I'm gonna unmute you. Please mute your volume a little bit so I could hear you. All right. So can you hear me? Okay, go ahead. So how can we find out what type of object this is?
Okay, so to find out the pattern, we have to go to the objective file and we have to click on the and we have to click the button and it's gonna show us.
Can you mute your volume a little bit, like lower your volume? Okay.
Yeah, now can you hear?
All right. So I click on this, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then we click on the object, right? Okay. And then, so what type of object this is? Now you tell me.
This is
Yeah, this is a web button, right? We could see it from here, right? Or from here too, web button. So do we need to go through to reach this web button? Do we need to go through any other object?
yeah, of course.
Yes. To reach this web button, what are the other objects that we need to go through?
We need to first go through the browser, then page, and we have to go through.
Then we reach web button, and then we could work with the web button, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thanks. All right. So guys, very good. Thank you so much, Abdullah. All right. So let's do that. Let's do the same. So we're trying to find out again. We're trying to interact with the web button now, right? We're trying to do some actions with the web button or interact with the web button, right? Okay. So in order for us to interact with the web button, we need to go through the browser and page, right, guys? Again, the same way. Then we could reach the web button. All right. So let's do that. Oh, by the way, yes, of course, you could encrypt this, your username too, and then put set secure here. Okay. All right. So if you put any encrypted text, it doesn't have to be password. It could be any text. You always need to put set secure. So if you're not encrypting it, then you could set. Okay. All right. So to reach the web button, we need to go through the browser. So let's go through them first. Browser. I do not encourage anyone to copy and paste. You could just copy and paste of this. When we are in the learning stage, please do type in. The more you type in, the more you memorize. Okay, in the beginning, guys, and then when you are comfortable enough, then you could copy and paste some, similar parts, not all of them. Okay. And then page. And now, okay, after going through the page, we now reach the final stage, right? Where we need to identify what type of object that we're going to interact with. So click on that, and then click on this. So we're trying to interact with the web button. So what are we going to write? What are we going to write here? Web button, right guys? Is it easy? Very easy. And then again the same way, we're going to identify the web button. And so what do we need? Do we need HTML tag, name, and type for a web button too? Do we need only HTML tag and text for a web button? Do you know? Can anyone tell me? No, we didn't work with it. So to make sure, to know what are the property and value that we need to identify, we click on tools, click on object identification, click on web, and click on web button, right? And do you see it's almost similar, HTML tag, name, and type, but still you have to make sure in each time. Okay, so we need the same thing for web button too. So web button, for web button, what do we need? HTML tag, and then name. Do not put name or anything like this. However it's written, again write it the same way. And then we need type. Remember guys? Okay guys? Alright. Alright. So we need 3 of these properties and its values to identify or to interact with the web button. So how can we do that? How can we find out the values? Again, we need to go to the object spy. We need to take the help of the spy, right? Alright, so then click on the web button, and then look for the HTML tag. So let's look for it. So let's go down. Let's go down until we find HTML tag. Where is it? It's all similar input. So let's type it down. Input. Or, you should copy and paste. Just copy. It's all in capital letter. Copy and paste. And let's look for name. Name is login. So see, it's different. Just copy and then paste it here. See, L is in capital, so you have to be very careful. And then type. So what is the type? Let's go down. Where is it? Oh, right here. Submit, right? So click on that. Submit. And submit is in all small letters, so you have to write it. So do you see? All the variation is here. Okay, guys? So just copy and paste from now. Here. Copy this. Paste it here. And then put a comma, put a quotation, and then put name marking. Okay guys, and now what do we want to do with it? We want to click on it, right? Remember? So after entering the username and password, we need to click on the login button. So we click on that. So we write down that. Click on it, right? So dot, we want to click on it. Okay guys, everyone is clear? Up until now, everyone is clear? It should be very clear. So now, where is it? What is this next step? Click on, okay, so this is done. Click on logout. So what is this? Logout is a weapon, or can anyone tell logout is a link, logout is a web edit? What is this? How can we find that out? Again, like Abdullah said, when we click on the object spy, and then we click on this, and then we click on logout. Oh, so this is a very good example actually. Look, it came as web element, but before web element, do you see something says link? So this is actually a link, but it came as a web element. Why? You will find this a lot of time, a lot of time. You'll see this in later classes. We've encountered this problem many times. Web element is not an actual object. What it does, guys, please pay attention to what I'm saying. Web element is a very important thing. You will encounter this many times while you are testing many different objects. Web element is not an object actually. For example, link is an object. Web edit is an object. Web button is an object. But web element is not an object. Even though in object identification, guys, please pay attention to what I'm saying. In object identification, web element says this is an object, but it's still, this is not counted as an object. Why? You could ask why. Because, do you see there are many different type of objects? There is web edit, there is link, there is many other different types, there is images, there are many different other type of objects that's there. But what UFT or QTP does is that when they cannot recognize, guys, please pay attention to what I'm saying. I will actually type it down. When UFT cannot recognize the predefined objects, or forget about the predefined, the object, it will recognize, or it will, yes, recognize the object, the unknown object, as web element. This is very important, guys, what I'm saying right now, because you will encounter this many times. There were countless queries that I got about this web element, because no one understood what is web element. And you will encounter many times too. When you try different application, you will encounter many times. Anyway, so when UFT cannot recognize the object in the application, it will recognize that unknown object as web element. So web element is not an object. It's just a form of generalization of an object. It's just a generalization of an object that could not be recognized by any of these. It could not be recognized as a frame. It could not be recognized as image, link, page, view link, web area, web button, web checkbox, web edit, web file, web list, web radio group, web table. It could not be recognized as any of those. That's why it was recognized as web element. Do you understand what I'm trying to say, guys? Just because it could not recognize that object that you were clicking on, with object spy, that's why it gave it a name as a web element, which is not an object. This is just a generalization of an object. But in most cases, what you will find, the previous object as web element of the web element is the actual object that you are looking for. So if we click on logout, see, it comes as a web element, but it should be linked. Why this came as a web element? Because we couldn't click on properly. See, if we click on properly, do you see? Look at the right, guys. So if I click on logout properly, then it comes as link. But if I click on like this, it comes as web element, because we could not click on properly on the object. That's why it came as web element. But if I click on properly, if I put on my mouse properly, then it shows me as link only. Do you see? But if I could not, let's say in a rush or hurry, you clicked on different location that you're supposed to, it will come as web element. At that time, what you will do, you will double check to make sure you clicked on the proper place, because web element is not an object. So you click on the proper place, then it comes as it should. I mean, it comes as the object that it should. Guys, are you following? Very important. Okay, it'll make more sense as we go along, you know, as we learning, as we go more advanced. But for now, just to clear the concept of it, do you understand? So why web element comes? Because it could not recognize the link. Do you see? Because I put my mouse in a different place than I should be putting on here, right? But I put it on here, so it came as a web element. I should be clicking on here. So web element, when you see a web element, make sure you clicked on the right place. Even a tiny centimeter or like a half a centimeter makes difference. Do you see? So you need to make sure. So anyway, so if a web element comes in like that, so always try to look for the previous one if that's what you were looking for. You already know logout is a link, so we're looking for a link. So if a web element comes in, just click on the previous one, since we know that this is a link. All right, anyway guys, so do you understand what is a web element and why we need to make sure? All right. Okay, web element would come because if you did not click on a proper place, if you clicked on the properly on the object, for now, understand, then it would come as you expecting to come as. Okay guys? All right, so for link, so we are trying to look for the link, logout link, right? So for link, what do we need? HTML tag and text. So let's find out what is the HTML tag. It's A again. And what is the text? It's logout. So let's write it down on the so for link, it's HTML tag, which is A, right? Remember, which is A, and text, copy, which is what? Log out, right? Just copy and paste. Logout has a combination of okay, guys. So we already know, so we need to click on logout, right? So we already know to go to link, we have to go through these two browser page. Just to make sure, again, go to the object spy, and click on logout again, and we need to go through browser and page. Do you see? All right, so let's go through browser and page first. And now link, right? And for link, we need what? HTML. Just copy and paste from here. Very simple. Since everyone wants to copy and paste and be lazy, so let's do that. And then again, the same thing as logout. And then we click on it. All right, we want to click on it. All right, guys, everyone is clear? So far, so good. See, we did a very long script very easily, little by little, we learned about it, right? And then now we want to, so we're done with that step. Now the next step, the final step, is close the browser. So how can we close the browser? Just recognize the browser first, browser, recognize the browser object, and we say make class, and then we say browser, and then we say close. Guys, do you understand? Everyone is clear? So first we close any open browser, and then we go to PeopleNtech, and then we click on mission link, and then we click on home link back, and then we enter our username and then the password, and then we click on the web button, and then we log out, and then we close the browser. Everyone is clear? So far so good, guys? So let's run this, and then I'll take questions. So let's run this first, okay? So see, there is a browser open. I almost forgot to close it. So let's see, since we added this, it should close this browser and then open a new one. Oh, let's put some wait time actually before we run this, so we could see what's going on. We could see if everything is working as expected. So we need to open the browser, click on mission, and then click on home, and then enter username and password. And then click on submit, and then logging out 5 seconds, and then close the browser. Okay. All right, so let's do that. So one is, there is one browser open, but it should close it with the first one. Let's run it. See, it closed that browser. So now I open a new browser, and now I click on mission, and then it should click back home, enter the username. See, did it enter the username? Yes. Did it type in? And then it should enter the password. Did it type in the password? Yes. And it should click on login. Login, and then it should log out, then close the browser. Yeah, so we did it, right guys? So did it work? All of us tried and made it work, right guys? Everyone is clear. Do you see how discrete programming works? And can you write discrete programming now? So do you know programming language? Very easily. See, you learn programming language very easily, and so do you know how to use discrete programming? Discrete programming to interact with application. Do you know that? Yes, we know that by now, right? All right, so for today, let's not do anymore. Guys, do practice. Please do practice, guys. There is no other way, and I want everyone to be absolutely clear about discrete programming. There are many other things that we're going to learn about discrete programming in future classes, but up until now we have done many things as much as we can, as much as we did. Please do practice. Okay, if you do not practice, the next thing that we're going to learn about discrete programming will not make sense. Everything is related, guys. Every single thing is related. I keep on saying that. So if you do not understand whatever we have done so far, the next class will not make sense to you. So please do practice when you go home. You do not need to practice 5 hours a day. Practice like as little as half an hour. Okay? But do practice. But if you do not, the next class will not make sense. Okay, guys? The only way to be master of QTP or anything is to practice. All right, so all right guys, so let's take questions. Edwin, who is this? Edwin Aristondo, you are a good teacher. No, thank you. You guys are patient with